Hello everyone and welcome to the SteepleCast. I am Corey Stolzenbach talking about the SteepleCats and recent happenings and the near future. We're going to go inside the GM's office with Jonah Bayliss and talk about that big win June 24th against the Newport Gulls. But first, of course, our top story of the podcast, Dakota Edwards throwing a no-hitter June 20th against the Sanford Mainers. This was his season debut. How about that? Your first game as a SteepleCat, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, just unbelievable, throwing a no-hitter like that. It was a 1-0 win for North Adams. This is the first time a pitcher threw a no-hitter in the NECBL since Chris Constantino, I hope I say it right, Costantino? I hope I'm saying that right, Chris Costantino. He was a member of the Laconia Muskrats against the Keene Swamp Bats. This was 2011. So think about that for a minute. Think about how many times since then we've seen perfect games in the major leagues. We've seen no-hitters. I mean, just 3 years ago, in 2012, we saw 3 perfect games. Never happened before in the majors. There's already been 2 no-hitters. There's been Chris Heston and Max Scherzer, and there was almost, on June 24th, Marco Estrada of the Blue Jays took a perfect game into the 8th inning. So it's pretty crazy how so many pitchers in the majors that they could throw no-hitters in perfect games. The NECBL is not that common. And to show you how special this is, only one other SteepleCat in history has thrown a no-hitter. That was in 2007, Nick McNully against the Manchester Silkworms, who are now the Muskrats. So Dakota Edwards is in very unique company, very rare company, I must say. The first no-hitter in 4 years, only the second time in franchise history has been done. Good for you, Dakota Edwards. And he was the NECBL Pitcher of the Week, no surprise whatsoever. We'll be talking to Jonah about that later. So let's talk about this big win that they had June 24th against the Newport Gulls. And this is special for quite a few reasons. For one, the Gulls are the defending NECBL champions. And they've won 6 times. That's the most of any CBL team, any out there. They had won 8 in a row before this took place. And now they're 10-3 because of the SteepleCats, and the SteepleCats are now 9-6. And it was just unbelievable. All that was really needed was just an RBI single by Dan Shea, but they poured on more about that. They ended up scoring 4 in the first inning, and they would hardly be done. Just look at some of the numbers these guys put up. Michael Babb going 2 for 4, 4 RBIs, 3 runs scored. Victor Sorrento, he had a grand slam against Sanford on Monday. Excuse me about that. Victor Sorrento had a grand slam Monday against Sanford. Dan Shea, he was 3 for 6. He had 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. Parker Perez, 1 for 5, 2 RBIs. Chris Fernacki, 1 for 4, 2 RBIs. It was really a good team win, a very solid team win, I must say. And just look at this. There was a parade last night in Newport. It was a hit parade, and the SteepleCats were throwing it. Just absolutely unbelievable. 16 hits North Adams cranked out last night. Newport only had 4. And let's talk about Dalton Westfall, because this is very unique, and this was not a dominating performance. If you were looking for something dominant, this was not it. He was the winning pitcher for North Adams. He had 2 strikeouts, 7 walks, and yet there's still reason to marvel at this because he went 5 innings and allowed only 1 hit. Think about that for a second. He took a no-hitter into the 5th inning with that kind of line. So you're really taking a chance right here, because not often, not always, are you going to throw 2 strikeouts against 7 walks and come away with a victory like that. But you know what? Like Jonah said, he came up with the pitches when it mattered most. Once, in the bottom of the 3rd, the Gulls loaded it, bases loaded, no outs. He got out of that. Dalton Westfall again, bottom of the 5th, bases loaded, 1 out. He got out of there with a 1-2-3 double play. So more power to Dalton Westfall for getting out of that jam, but not every pitcher's going to get lucky like that. Still, though, I have to be very optimistic. about the SteepleCats and what they're doing this season. They're 9-6, and just a year ago on Wednesday, they were 6-7 through its first 15 games. 2 games were canceled. So think about that. They are much better now. They're just a half a game back of the Valley Blue Sox, whom they're taking on Friday night. And if there's something that I could say to the coaches and the players, is that this is your playoff spot to lose. Now, is there a lot of baseball left? Absolutely. There's more baseball still ahead of us than behind us. However, you control your own destiny. There's no reason to think that you guys are going to slip up. If you guys can make it to the playoffs, anything can happen, because you never know when this could be the year. So they're going to square off Friday night in Holyoke, the SteepleCats and the Blue Sox. And finally, before we go to break, I want to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that's this Sunday at Joe Wolf Field. Bernie Carbo is going to appear against the Muskrats. He is going to throw out the first pitch and is going to be a guest of the SteepleCats. And I have to tell you, I am so fortunate and so blessed to be a part of this organization. I really am. And a lot of the things that I have contributed to this organization, I think the thing that I'm most proud of is bringing Bernie Carbo in, because I booked him. I interviewed him back in October. He's on my YouTube channel. And so my boss, Josh Mezawar, he asked me to possibly maybe book some people, see if we can get for the first pitch. And I wanted to cater to local athletes from the area. And if you don't know Bernie Carbo's story, you need to Google it, because it's very gripping, it's very touching and inspiring. For him to show up at Joe Wolf Field on Sunday, he's going to be a guest of the SteepleCats, he's going to throw out the first pitch. That is something really, really special, and it's just very beautiful, and I'm sure that he'll draw thousands of people, which I'm very looking forward to seeing what the attendance is for that one. Okay, that's going to do it for our regular segments. We're going to go inside the GM's office next with Jonah Bayliss. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the SteepleCast, everybody. I am Corey Stolzenbach. It's time for another rendition of Inside the GM's Office with Jonah Bayliss. And Jonah, last Saturday, that Dakota Edwards no-hitter, truly something special. It must really pay off that he had a former major leaguer as his pitching coach.
Well, to be honest with you, that's entirely on Dakota. He came in, he joined the team late. I haven't even had a chance to really talk to him yet. He just came in with a huge splash, came out of the gates firing with that no-hitter. The most impressive part about it was the way he worked. The game only took 2 hours and 10 minutes. He'd throw a ball and he'd get right back up on the mound, and he wanted to throw another one. And the fire and the hunger to compete against the hitters is really what motivated him to that success.
If there's something that I've learned in the short amount of time I've spent around this game, is that there's no room for black and white thinking. And I think of when I interviewed Jim Bunning, and he talked about his perfect game on my radio show in college, and he said when he threw his perfect game on Father's Day, when he threw his first no-hitter, he said that his teammates, they shunned him, they weren't really around him, they weren't talking to him. But then he said that he would talk about his teammates, he would talk about his perfect game, or that he would talk about it as it was going on. That's what he did when he was throwing it on Father's Day in 1964. So I'd like you to paint a picture of what was going on in the dugout, how the teammates were receiving Dakota as a no-hitter was going on.
Pretty well. There is this kind of, to me personally, I don't know why, but there is kind of this unwritten rule that you're not supposed to talk to the pitcher and not bother him, and I think where that stems from is that you're trying not to let them think about it. But I personally, I've thrown no hitter before, and I can tell you, I'll be the first to tell you right now. I knew about mine in like the fifth inning. It's not hard to look up at the scoreboard and realize that there's zeros across it. So I think what your team and teammates are trying to do is just kind of relax you a little bit, take your mind off of it, try and take a little bit of pressure away from the achievement. With that said, I don't think we treated him any different than we would have if he hadn't had no hitter going. He was a focused kid, for sure. He came in, sat down. He would talk and joke with teammates, but we kind of left him to his own space. And it was hard because it's the first time we've ever seen him pitch. It's the first time he's around the team, so we didn't really know what to expect as far as what his game day rituals are like. So we just kind of let him be, and obviously great things happen from it.
Tell me about your no-hitter, who it was against, when it happened, and how you were able to focus out there and try not to let the no-hitter dwell over you with the way that baseball is such a mental game. Tell me about that. Sure.
Well, I remember it very well. I threw one in college, but I don't really count that one. It was a 7-inning no-hitter. And I threw one, so this was in Burlington, Iowa. I was pitching for the Burlington Bees. It was August 5th. 2003 against the Peoria Chiefs. Like I said, it's something that I obviously clearly will remember for the rest of my life. And, like I said earlier, it's something that I realized, from the 5th inning on. I sat down after the 5th inning and looked at the scoreboard and said, wow, I haven't given up a hit yet. And I guess the best thing you can do from there is you take each inning as it comes, each batter as it comes. It wasn't really until the 9th inning, that last inning, that I started to really think, oh my gosh, I have a chance to throw a no-hitter. It's kind of the same principle as when you're facing a batter. I tell the guys this all the time. Only in an 0-2 count have you earned the right to try and strike a guy out. In a 1-2 count, you're just trying to make contact and get a weak ground ball somewhere. Same thing with a 2-2, 3-2, and so on. Only in that 0-2 count have you earned the right to strike somebody out. Well, it's kind of like, in my opinion, only in that 9th inning have you earned the right to try and throw a no-hitter. All the innings before that, you're just trying to get through without giving up any runs and do it as efficiently as possible. If by the 9th inning you have reached, the criteria in which you are facing a no-hitter, then you can kind of think about it. Then you can say, okay, maybe let's really go for this. Let's really put an effort into this. But other than that, it's every pitcher that takes the mound, no matter what inning it is, no matter what the score is, no matter what the count is, no matter what the batter is, should be attacking the strike zone the same exact way, pitch by pitch, day in, day out. It shouldn't. The results of the game shouldn't matter. You should always have the same aggressiveness, mentality, and physically every time you take the mound.
Did you know that Dakota was capable of doing what he did out there, or did you think that?
To be honest with you, I have the utmost confidence in all of our pitchers. This league is a great league, and it is filled with amazing talent. And there are a number of people on every team that have the capability to go out on any given day and do what Dakota did. It's not to take anything away from him. It takes a lot. With that said, it takes a lot to get it actually done. But did it surprise me? No. I guess the bigger surprise wasn't in the fact that his physical talent allowed him to do it. The bigger surprise was that it was in his first start for us, and we didn't really know. There's a big adjustment. He's coming in from California, he's coming all the way across the country, and meeting up with a team of strangers, and so there's a big comfort zone that needs to be hurdled, and he came right in and obviously cleared it with ease and threw a no-hitter.
Well, hey, it's happened before. Think of Bobo Holloman, pitcher for the St. Louis Browns back in 1953, just his second career Major League appearance, his first Major League start. He threw a no-hitter, so you never know what someone can do. With you as pitching coach, how were you able to coach him through it? You told me some things just now about the no-hitter, about the 0-2 count. It seems like a lot of wisdom. I'm guessing you must have told him that stuff, so how were you able to coach him as the no-hitter was going on?
To be quite honest with you, I didn't say a word to him. I just asked him how he was feeling. He said, great. And I said, all right, go get him. made my job pretty easy, actually.
Let's switch gears. I know that in the NECBL, you have players who come and go for whatever reasons. So what does a GM do? Because I understand there are some waiver wires in the Cape Cod NECBL leagues, but what is a GM to do when a player on a team is a no-show or they have to leave due to an injury or whatever reasons? What is a job like for you then?
Well, my job becomes to try and find a new player. We do our best to get the guys that we want in here, and like you said, sometimes they have to go home for whatever reason. And when that happens, my job becomes to find a new one and to find the best one that I can possibly replace them with. So a lot of it comes down to contacts. Calling coaches that you're familiar with, that you trust, and just you're just shopping around. You get on the internet, you look up stats, you can try the Cape, you can try other leagues for guys that have gotten released from those leagues. But you get up that network Rolodex and you start looking. It's really I don't have an exact science to it yet. This is only my first year, but so right now for me it's just more a lot of grunt work than anything else. You just get on the phone, get on the emails, and start trying to find them.
Because I was just about to ask you, I know that this team is more than just talent they want character. So how is it for you that you look through waiver wires, and you decide, yeah, I want that player on our team?
Well, it's difficult, to be honest with you. It's really difficult when the primary criteria you have to select a player is basically stats. So that's when it comes down to actually, maybe talking to the kid on the phone, talking to the coaches, trying to get a read for what kind of a player he is. That in my opinion is the more important of the criteria, is to try and find out not only are they a good player, but what kind of player they are, and then of course what kind of person they are. And it's hard. It's really hard to do without actually sitting down face to face with these kids. So you try and ask the right questions, and you try and get a read, and you just kind of go with your gut instinct. I think we've done so far this year. We've done an exceptional job. I can speak for every single one of our guys on the roster they're stand-up individuals, and I couldn't be prouder of how not only how they're playing, but how they interact with the community. They go to schools. They don't complain once about doing anything outside of the field. We ask them to make appearances, and it's a pleasure for them. They enjoy it, and that takes a special kind of kid. And we have a whole team full of them, so I'm very fortunate for that.
Let's talk about you. Last year you were on the coaching staff, albeit you weren't there on the full season. I remember you telling me that you were only there for like 5 games as an assistant. Mm-hmm. So how have you seen yourself grow as a coach from last year to this year? What has changed in the last 365 days?
Not much has changed from my internal perspective. It's just more so now I have the opportunity to be around the team 24/7. So last year it was kind of difficult, because it was a volunteer role and I got there when I could. But as you mentioned, it wasn't very often, and it was rather sporadic. So it was really hard to establish any kind of consistency. I always had the feeling that when I was walking the dugout, it was like I was kind of the random guy that showed up once a week. Not even once a week, once every other week probably. So it was hard to establish trust with the players, and that's a big issue for coaches. That's one of the primary hurdles that you need to overcome is, and before you can start instilling any of your ideas or methods, you really need to establish trust first. That really just the best way to do it. It just comes with time and the ability to now be around these guys 24/7 has really helped in that. So now instead of focusing on trying to build trust, now, a couple weeks in the season, now I can start to, hopefully start talking a little bit deeper about, what they expect and what they were trying to accomplish this summer as well as in their careers, and try and help them do it.
Good points indeed. Last question. You're the pitching coach, you're the GM, you got the A1 Pitching Academy. Certainly you're a very busy man, and I can't imagine you have a lot of free time to yourself. So what does Jonah do in the little spare time he might have?
Yes, it is fairly busy. Luckily it's baseball, so I love it. But my free time is eaten up by my daughter, Gobi. She's 3 years old, and she gets pretty much any spare moment that I have. My wife as well. She's always with us. If I do happen to have maybe 5 minutes, I might sit down with a guitar. I used to play guitar with my dad. My dad played forever. Most of it goes to my family for sure. They've supported me throughout my career, and now through this. And we knew it would be a big commitment, and we couldn't be happier about it as a family. My wife loves it. She loves going to games. My daughter loves going to games. I can't be more thankful for them. So it's only fitting that any spare moment I have should go to them. So definitely my family.
Well, Jonah, thank you for joining me, and thank you, the listener, for listening to me. That was another rendition of Inside the GM's Office, another edition of the SteepleCast. Join us next time. I'm Corey Stolzenbach. Have a good one, everybody.